So we all know that sugar is something you have to avoid on a ketogenic diet, but what about using sugar substitutes? We're going to talk to you a little bit about the things that we use and the things that we found during my ketogenic journey.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Dr. Keith. I'm a chiropractor for the past 26 years in private practice.
And I am Dr. Becky. I'm a college instructor of the science of nutrition. And welcome to Two Fit Docs, where we turn weight loss resistance into weight loss success. And we have done that by following Keith, as he has been completely overhauling, transforming for the past year, lost 80 pounds
yeah.
Following a ketogenic diet. So of course, one of the things that does not work on a ketogenic diet is sugar. So we often get the question from people that are trying to follow along with what you've been doing, well, can we use sugar substitutes or artificial sweeteners? So what are your thoughts on that, first of all? Maybe we'll...
Yeah, well, there are some ones that we would say yay and some ones that we say nay.
Okay, so let's start with the nays.
Okay.
All right, so we've got the blue, pink, and the yellow packets. These are the ones that a lot of us are familiar with. You'll find them in restaurants. We would put a thumbs down, to all three of these. So let's just real quickly go through why we would say no to them.
Okay, so we've got aspartame, which is equal.
Equal, right.
That's a sweetener that is mostly used in like Diet Coke and sodas like that.
Yeah.
And it definitely has, is that the excitatory?
Yes, aspartate.
Aspartate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it actually, the chemical in this actually acts as an excitotoxin for your brain cells. Well, that can't be good.
Anytime you hear the word toxin, that's
right.
not good.
Right. So that's kind of out. Let's talk about Splenda.
Okay, Splenda is sucralose.
Yes.
Which actually begins as sugar, but then it's chemically transformed into a sugar alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's kind of sneaky, right? So sucrose is the chemical name for sugar. Sucralose is what we find in Splenda. Right. So it comes from that. So it does have a caloric value.
Right. This one has some ill effects, especially if you have any thyroid issues, because it causes some problems with the digestion of and absorption of iodine
and zinc.
Yeah,
but iodine is the one for
one.
thyroid. So if you do have hypothyroid issues or any type of thyroid issues, I would steer clear of Splenda. It can cause your body not to absorb iodine as well. Iodine is what activates your thyroid hormones, so you definitely want to stay clear of that. And then just real quick, sweet and low.
Saccharin.
Yeah, this when I think of this one, I think of the early days of dieting. We're old enough to remember Tab. I don't know if anyone else does, but yeah, it was like a terrible aftertaste. So there again, we don't go for any three of those. Now, a problem on a ketogenic diet is that being in ketosis will cause the production of acetone. And acetone will actually cause bad breath.
Right. Acetone is one of the ketones that your body makes, and the way it's excreted is through your breath. And so you get this keto breath.
Yeah. So if you work with the public, as you do, that presents a problem. So what is your solution to that?
Well, I drink a lot of coffee, but that presents its own problem as well.
Okay, I wasn't really counting on that.
Typically, I have to have something, a breath mint or gum or something, and so that presents a problem. I'm in the office for 8 hours a day, face to face with patients, and I need to find some way to do that. So we looked at a lot of different gums, and this is the one that we've kind of settled on.
Orbit.
Okay. And the reason this actually contains xylitol. Xylitol has some pros and cons. Now, the cons are that if you get too much of it, it can give you some stomach distress. Now, I don't think that a few pieces of gum is going to cause that to me. The pros, it's actually been found to prevent bacteria that cause tooth decay in your mouth from, forming and getting in there. So that is a plus side to that.
Right. So and those are the reasons that we chose to pick a chewing gum, a sugar-free chewing gum with xylitol. Xylitol is not necessarily one of the the least safe, is that the way to say it? And it also could possibly help with tooth decay. So,
Right.
All right, and so now let's talk about, we don't do a lot of baking.
No.
We pretty much stay away from sweets. We really don't do a lot of artificial sweeteners for that matter, because we don't want to introduce all those sweets, but that's a story for another day.
Right.
But when we do utilize something, we use Swerve. One recipe that we have in our 21-day challenge is our chocolate peanut butter fat bombs, which are very good.
Excellent.
And for that, we'll use Swerve Confectioner. You also make a fat-fortified coffee. It's kind of like your version of keto coffee.
Right.
And for that, you use the Swerve granular type. Mostly it's just a consistency preference.
Right. Well, I've started putting a tablespoon of 100% cacao baking powder in my blended coffee. It's very bitter, so I found that I need to take that bitterness away. So I use a teaspoon or so of the Swerve granular, and it takes that away. And like you said, we don't use a lot of sweeteners, but sometimes it does help certain recipes.
Right. Well, and there's a couple of pluses to Swerve. One is that it can be used as a 1-to-1 ratio when you're baking something. So if you have decided to go no sugar, and yet you have one of those family recipes that you just don't quite want to give up and you want to experiment with something, well, I would recommend that you experiment with Swerve. And if you're baking, I would use the confectioner's Swerve. So if the recipe called for a cup of sugar, just use a cup of Swerve and experiment with it and see what you think of the taste. Right. So that's one of the pluses. The other plus I would say is that the artificial sweetener used in this tends to be a safer sugar alcohol, and I always have trouble pronouncing it. What is it?
Erythritol.
Erythritol. So I'll just point to you every time I want to say erythritol.
Erythritol.
Thank you. Erythritol is a sugar alcohol, so sugar alcohols kind of get a bad rep because they can cause some digestive issues. That's not the case with
erythritol
because of the way it's handled by your body. Right. So it for the most part, it kind of passes through without being digested, so it just kind of is eliminated from the body. Right. And it also has
oligosaccharides.
Thank you. And those are actually a natural product that is taken from some vegetables and beans and things like that. So actually, that component makes it through your digestive tract. It can go down into your gut where the bacteria of your gut can digest it. It actually acts as like a fertilizer. That's what we refer to when we talk about prebiotics. It's kind of like fertilizing those good bacteria in your gut. So there could be some pluses there. Yep. Anything else we want to talk about with those?
No, I don't think so. We don't use a lot of sugar substitutes in baking and stuff. We kind of don't want to feed our sweet tooth. Absolutely. But sometimes you need to have them, and there are recipes that call for it, and we try to normalize our life as much as we can. So. Yep, good. All right, and then one last sweetener that we wanted to talk about, because we get a lot of questions about Stevia, and some people just want to know what can you use instead of one of these artificial sweeteners. Well, we do think that Stevia is fine to use, but you have to pick the right brand. So Sweet Leaf is definitely the brand that you'd want to go with for Stevia. A couple of reasons. Do you want to go cover that one? Well, when we were first looking in the grocery store for Stevia, I think we must have spent 10 minutes looking at every single package of Stevia, because almost all of them had bulking agents added, and most of them turned out to be sugar. So maltodextrin or dextrose. Yeah, those sneaky names for sugar. They don't just put sugar on there, but they'll put maltodextrin, dextrose. Yeah, so which is basically sugar. Yeah. Yeah, and they have to put some type of bulking agent with stevia, and there is a good reason. The stevia leaves are very, very sweet, very intense sweetness. I think it's like 300 times that of sugar. So you would only need a few little crystals, right? Well, you can't just package up a few little crystals. So the food manufacturers have to put a bulking agent in there so that it's usable. It's a usable product that can sit on the shelf. Right. Unfortunately, probably to save cost and things like that, a lot of them will put in maltodextrin or dextrose or something like that. Well, you want to stay clear of those. Sweet Leaf actually uses inulin, and that is derived from onions and vegetables in that family. There again, they can act as that prebiotic in your gut. So
Definitely the better choice if you're going to go with stevia. All right, so that just gives you an idea of how we utilize sugar substitutes in our diet to try to maintain some health value. We don't use a whole lot of them. We do have a few recipes in our 21-day challenge that utilize Swerve, so if you want to check that out, we'll leave some links here. But other than that, that's all we have for you this week, and please subscribe. We'll see you for a brand new video next week.
We'll see you.